Now we're going to chat about how to enter your Etsy fees into your spreadsheet. And this is going to apply whether you're using the Etsy seller spreadsheet or the Etsy import add-on. Again, I will be using the Etsy seller spreadsheet in my example, but other than seeing those additional tabs that you don't have on the import add-on, everything works exactly the same, regardless of which spreadsheet file you purchased. So you've imported in your Etsy order CSV. You've got your sales in here. You've got your Etsy credit card processing fees in here. What about the rest of the money and the fees that you pay Etsy for running your shop? We're going to cover how to enter and find those in this video. In general, I want you to be aware because many of us are not. Etsy charges you at a minimum 3 different fees. The first is that Etsy credit card processing fee. We've already imported that guy in here. We're good to go with that one. That is usually 3% plus 25 cents per order total in the US. The percentage changes if you're if you're an international seller, but that's what the charge is in the US. The second one is a 5% transaction fee. You can consider that Etsy's commission basically on your sale. That's the cut that they get for allowing you the honor and privilege of selling on Etsy.com. The 5% transaction fee is charged on your sale total and on your shipping received from your customer. So if you're looking at a fee CSV, it's actually going to show up as 2 different charges, 5% of shipping received, 5% of the sale amount. That one is not listed on your order CSV, so we're going to find it next. And then the third fee is your Etsy listing fee. That's 20 cents every time you list or renew your product in your shop. So let's talk about how to find those latter 2 fees. So you want to be in your shop manager and click on finances and go to payment account. Once on your payment account screen, you can scroll down and go to a monthly statement for whatever time periods, month you're going to look at. I'm going to click on last 3 months, and then I'm going to have access to February 2019. That's what I'm going to use for this example. So we've got our sales circle here, which you can totally ignore, and your fees and taxes circle here. Now, just a quick note about your sales circle. Do not be alarmed if this number doesn't look anything like what you just imported for your Etsy sales. This sales circle here is your Etsy sales minus your credit card processing fees. So it is not truly your gross revenue or your gross sales. It's really just a made-up number, honestly. They're subtracting your credit card processing fees and showing you net sales. So don't even pay attention to this number, honestly. Over here, we can pay some attention to your fees and taxes circle. Now, on that note, as of right now, April 2019, Etsy's new payment system is still relatively new. They switched over in the fall of last year, and they have reported many instances of glitches and bugs related to these 2 circles. What we have learned up to this point is that Etsy is pretty much telling us that these numbers are potentially unreliable as sums. It will vary by seller, but I've seen cases where, 10 random days from the month are not included in your sales or your fees circle, or there's timing issues, or things are just for whatever reason not counted accurately. And it's really difficult to know for sure. In my case, I've noticed that so far in 2019, my fees and taxes circle has been accurate when I reconcile it back to my fees CSV. But I can't say that's going to work across the board for everyone. So what I will say is that in general, to enter your listing and transaction fees on your Etsy seller spreadsheet, you can look at this fees circle. And if you know it's reliable for you, you can enter the sum of these 2 amounts on that row. So I only have listing and transaction fees here. I could enter that $181.66 here as my Etsy and listing transaction fees for the month of February and call it a day. But I would encourage you to verify that these fee sums are indeed correct for that month, especially if you're new at doing your books. because it seems to be reliable about 50% of the time and not accurate the other 50% of the time. So how can we check that these numbers are correct? You want to download this CSV here. This is the only place you can find this fees CSV as far as I know. So once you're on the billing statement screen for the specific month you're looking at, click this CSV button and download that CSV file. When you open it in your spreadsheet software, again, hopefully it looks like this, where it's sorted into columns for you. If you're working in Google Sheets, now this is Excel, but I do know that if you're working in Google Sheets, sometimes it seems to have this issue in Google Sheets with this particular CSV where they're not formatted as numbers, so the spreadsheet won't sum it in Google Sheets. So if you're working in Google Sheets, you want to highlight these 3 rows so that they're all selected and then go to your currency format to make sure that Google Sheets knows that these are indeed numbers and will add them up for you. If you're in Excel, you probably don't have to do that, but that's an added step that you may need to check on in Google Sheets. So once you've got your fees CSV open in whatever spreadsheet software you're working with, I want you to highlight all this data and sort it by type. How do we do that? You can click on this little cell right here above row 1 and to the left of column A, and clicking on that one little box right there will highlight your entire tab of data. Once it's all highlighted, click on your funnel button up here. This is actually filtering. So if you see a button that looks like a funnel, that's what you want to click on, or you can even go to data, filter, and once you have that turned on, you will see these little drop down buttons next to each column header. Now we can filter by type, so click the little drop down button next to type and go to ascending. I'm going to sort it, but you can filter if you'd rather. Filtering means that I'm going to show to see only a certain type of transaction here, like maybe just my listing fees, or you can just show everything and just sort it by ascending order so it groups things together. So remember, the point of doing all this is just to verify whether or not these totals are correct or not. We're going to assume and hope at least that the CSV is more accurate than this tricky circle itself. So first, let's verify whether our listing fees are here correctly. So I have sorted by type, and I'm just going to go to I'm going to stay in column G. I'm going to click my first listing fee, and I'm going to click and drag all the way down until I'm done with listing fees. So I've got a lot of listing fees. Okay, there's the last one. Once I have them all highlighted, assuming the spreadsheet knows that they are numbers and it's formatted as numbers, I can see the sum down here in the bottom area of my spreadsheet software. Google Sheets and Numbers should do this for you as well. So I can see my sum of listing fees is $15.60 on the CSV, and that matches what's reported on my circle. Now I'm going to repeat that same process for my transaction fees. And I have filtered to see only transaction fees, so I'm actually just going to select all of column G this time instead of clicking and dragging, and that's telling me that my transaction fees are $166.06, which is what my fee circle is reporting for me. So I feel pretty confident entering this $181.66 on my green row right here for my Etsy listing and transaction fees. Now, chances are you have some other types of fees showing up here. Shipping is a big one. If you buy your shipping labels through Etsy, then you'll see your shipping fees, your postage label expense show up here as well. You want to just rinse and repeat that same thing. Filter for just your shipping type of transaction, sum up the column of all your shipping fees, and then you want to enter that on your postage expense tab. We're going to cover how to use these tabs real soon, but you could enter one lump sum for the entire month and just give it a date for like the last day of the month if you want, or any date in the month is really fine. Let's say I had $72.50 for shipping. I'd enter the date, the shipping amount, and a quick description of that. And then that amount will flow to my February column for my postage cost row on the monthly summary tab. If you've got any sort of marketing or advertising expense here, if you pay for promoted listings or if you pay for, the Google shopping ads or the weird coupon code things that Etsy does these days, you will see that showing up here. You can verify that the same way on your fees CSV and then enter that on your advertising tab on your Etsy seller spreadsheet. If you have things like Pattern or Etsy Plus or Etsy Premium showing up here, you want to enter that as well. You may choose to enter that as an advertising expense or put it under the other tab or something like that. Classify it how you see necessary and make sure you enter that. Basically, any fee you have showing up here, now is the time to first verify it on your fee CSV and then enter it in your Etsy seller spreadsheet as an expense. I'm hoping that eventually Etsy will stop having so many glitches and bugs with this fees circle and we'll be able to start skipping the step of having to download this CSV and verify it first, and you'll just be able to enter things straight from the circle into your Etsy seller spreadsheet. But for the time being, I think it's probably most safe to download the CSV and verify it first.